We're rolling. Let's pray, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Pray that we have a wonderful day, that our parents are blessed, they have a great day at their work. We pray that you guys, your work is a job that you love going to and that you enjoy. Again, I recommend you all be a teacher. I know that's not possible for everyone because not everyone would like being a teacher, but do whatever you love. That's what you want to be. Luckily, I love math, and I could find a job that combine the two. So let's pray for that. You guys all have very successful futures and happy futures, which goes with going to a job that you love. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Okay, correct that while I check homework. Don't be late. Okay, go ahead and correct whatever you can see on that page. And I have math help today if you are under 70. You just want to look at and go through it. Alright, it's important you know the difference between -2 all squared and -2 squared. And go ahead and say it like that. So everyone say -5 squared. And everyone say -5 all squared. Okay, so that's how you say them differently. And 1 is equal to -25. Come on, key person. You need to put equal signs in there. And the other one equals +25. So you have to know brackets are very important when the exponent is even. Because the brackets means that the square applies to the sign. So negative times negative gives you a positive. This is just another way of saying -25, -5 squared. Okay, the negative stays out in front because it's not in brackets, and the exponent only applies to the 5. So 5 squared is 25 with the negative sign out in front. So hopefully you understand that. If not, just memorize it because you're going to see that in the next triple years in high school. It doesn't matter if it's a cube because 3 negatives equal negative anyway. You leave a negative out in front. But if you have a squared or a fourth, Or 6 even exponent means brackets is positive, no brackets, keep the negative sign out front, which makes it negative. Okay, so you can see that's exactly what this is, and exactly what that is. That's exactly what this is. One's -1, one's +1. Okay, so instead, star those two, or whichever two you want, and know which is which when you have an evaluation coming up tomorrow, I believe I promised you. No, you have a test on Thursday. Sorry, not tomorrow, Thursday. Test on Thursday. So we have stuff to do for sure. Okay, number 8 is not usually what I'll ask, but if it asks you to evaluate, that means you have to tell me what it actually equals. And I'm not sure what the exact purpose of that is, knowing that this is 387,420,429. Usually, I'll just say, write in exponential form. So write that down, exponential form, and it's exactly how it sounds. Exponential form has exponents on it, so you can just leave it as 9 to the 9th. Occasionally, I'll say evaluate. That means you have to give me the value of. What does that actually equal? Evaluate means find the value of. So you have to tell me what it means on your calculator. Okay? But most time, it'll just be exponential form. I just want to know if you can apply the exponent rules. Don't forget, there's a 1 here. It doesn't have an exponent. Then you add exponents. And same thing, if there's 3 of them, you just add exponents. Super duper fun. This one, make sure you got 3 to the 6, not -3 to the 6. Again, the brackets, the negative sign is inside the bracket, so it becomes negative times a negative, which is positive. 3 to the 6th, and you can see that's what they did here to show you that the negative sign got squared, or the -1 got squared, to make it Calgary things. Next. Where do I want to go? 12D, I guess. What's going on? No, can't do that. 12D. I wanted to look at that for some reason. I just remind you the power rule. Don't put equal signs, please. That's not 30. It's 10 times itself 3 times. So it's 1 grand, 1K, 1 large. So I'll really go for 1,000. A kilometer without the meter. Kilo number. Yeah, I just made that joke up. Still going. I'm 33 years old. Take a peek at the other ones. I'm going to move on to 18. I like this one. I wouldn't even write down y to the 0. Anything divided by itself is equal to 1, whether it's a variable or a number. Anything divided by itself is a 1. That's why we cross things out, not because they equal 0, because they equal 1. And 1 times anything is anything. If everything completely crosses out, you need to put 1, not 0 or not blank. Sometimes I see blank. Blank is not an answer. You know what I mean is not an answer. You have to put the number 1 there. F. What's F? No, that wasn't F. Negative. So your F is here somewhere on 18. It's not that F. You got -1/3 PQ, all to the 4th. So again, that means everyone gets the P to the 4th, Q to the 4th, right? What's negative times itself 4 times? Is that positive or negative? positive, positive. So that's positive. And then what's 3 times itself? 4 times. You know, 9 times 9, you know, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 81, does that go in the numerator or the denom? 3 is in the denom. So the 81 goes right there. Another way of writing that, which you probably won't see, but you could see it, so write it. You could also write that as 181st, p to the 4th, q to the 4th. That's the exact same thing. I kind of talked about that earlier. I wish these markings would move up. They don't, so hopefully you got that. If not, we're podcasting. And watch it podcasting, people. I can see you. Can you see? Can I check your homework, please? Yeah, keep turning. Yeah, sit up straight, please. Okay, good job. Now, 19 seems like an easy question, and it's not because students don't know how to do it. Is why they lose marks, because they don't do what it asks. It asks for 2 things. So please give me 2 answers. It says, what's the error? And then correct it. 2 things. You can't just say they multiplied and not added. That's answering one of the 2 things. Or sometimes I see students just give me the answer and then move on. That's 50% too. You have to tell me what they did wrong, and then you have to correct it. So just be careful with this. It looks like a easy question, but I see students not doing both things. So you might even want to write down, read question. 2 things to do. Just do it, says Nike. Just do 2 things. This Under Armour. Okay, and then there's some numerical response questions. At least 21, I think. There we go. Quick. What numbers go there? So what number times 3 equals 12? Oops. 10 subtract what number equals 2? Third one. Ooh, that's a good one. R plus R equals 16. So what does R equal? It's easy to put 4 there. That's what my brain's thought of at the beginning. And then this is what exponent goes to make this 1. So we have to know, everyone write this down, anything to the 0 exponent equals 1. Oh, I can't remember. Lucas, are you the K or the C? Anything to the 0 exponent equals 1. And you should have been taught why that equals 1 in grade 7. Lastly, 22. What number plus the same number plus the same number equals 27? You can solve an equation or just know it in your head. But don't put 3. 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. This is addition. You're adding exponents. So again, sometimes the number that shoots to your brain, you kind of have to just give it another thought. Because honestly, when I saw this one, I thought the answer was 4. Would be ours. I thought about it. Wait a minute. 4 plus 4 doesn't equal 16. All right, I think we're done. Homework, thank goodness. That's not my favorite, but make sure you're on the right track. Let's move on to more exponents. And they get a little more complex, aka a little more fun for you. That doesn't work. Are we here yet? Okay, so page 24 on the smartboard. For me, it's page 23 in the handout. But we're doing these ones together. And we don't have much difficulty until we get to D, as long as, remember, we never divide exponents. We always add, subtract, and multiply exponents. So this one is just number times number, so negative 42, and then add the exponents, a to the 20th. You want to get all these right, okay? These are kind of free marks for you. There's going to be some ones that are maybe three-steppers that aren't as easy as this. C, number divided by number, 20 divided by 5 is 4, and then don't put y to the 4th, you subtract exponents. Even though you'd be tempted to put y to the 4th, you do not. This one is a little easier because it doesn't divide evenly. So when numbers don't divide, what do you think I'm going to write next? It rhymes with produce and starts with an RE. Reduce the fraction. Okay, so if you have two numbers that don't divide evenly, it's just look at it as a fraction and reduce the fraction. So, not by 5. 30 and 45 you can actually divide by 15. Sorry, that's bad, 15. In fact, it's so bad I'm going to erase it. I apologize, podcast people and desk people, and to all humanity. So divide by 15. 30 divided by 15 is 2. 45 divided by 15 is 3. And then the b's work out nicely. You just subtract exponents, but make sure you put the b to the 4th in the proper numerator or denominator. Go ahead and write that differently. Now it's another way to write 2b to the 4th all over 3. Yep. No, this is just subtract exponents of b. If this was in brackets, it'd be all to the 4th, but then the bases would have to be exactly the same. Good question. Daryl? What's that? No. For this one? For B? No, it is number times number and then add exponents. Don't need brackets. Okay, this one, 2/3, b to the 4th is the same thing. In case somehow I ask a numerical response question like a over b, even though this one is a b, let's say it's an x, I could say what's a, what's b, what's c, or something like that. This one, you guys, I'm going to let you do it, let you do it, let you do it, let you do it. Okay, add exponents, subtract exponents, multiply numbers, add exponents, divide numbers, subtract exponents. You want these. You want these questions on the test. Okay, attendance. So 3 today? Podcast people, pause please until you're done. Okay. Let's go red. Add exponents. You get x to the 8th, y to the 12th. Check. 1 times 2 times 3 times good. Subtract exponent, x squared, y to the fourth. Do not ever divide exponents. There's some thumbs, good. This one, negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. B times b cubed times b squared is b to the 6th. C times c squared times c. Anybody get that answer? 12b to the 6th, c to the 4th. Okay, when you are saying this, you're saying it like you're running a race. B to the 6th, c to the 4th, x to the 8th, y to the 12th. That's how professional math students say it. Okay, so everyone got this part. What's the other part? Rita? Yeah, 5 halves, well said. 5 over 2, or the other way. So you divide by 2, divide by 2. All right, next. Next is this one. Everyone gets that part. That part's not worth the most marks. You have a question or an answer? Okay, shoot.
If one is divided by 5 halves.
Yep. No decimal, please. If you went 2.5, e to the 4th, f to the 5th, we just don't do that. We don't do mixed numbers when we have a fraction that's the numerical response. I mean, you still need to know that skill, but you don't need to do it for these questions. Good question. You're on the board for a chocolate wire. Have an excellent adventure with that chocolate wire. No? All right. Tough crowd. Wish podcast people were here. Please lay off of my jokes. Okay, 3 times 3. No, you multiply exponents. 3 is not an exponent. So that's the most common mistake is students put 9. It's not 9. It's 3 cubed. What's 3 cubed, everybody? 27. Go ahead and do B for me, please. As fast as the tumor. Everyone gets this part right. What's the other part? It's not as tricky as it could be, but it's still a little tricky. Show me with your hands. Just do this for negative sign. Oh, I made some of you think about it. Good. There's no negative sign. This is negative 2 times negative 2, 2 times, which is positive 4. Okay. What happens if the negative was outside the bracket? What if the negative sign was right here? If it's out in front, you just leave it out in front. Okay? So that could be a variation of that question. Example 4. I think we're doing them all together. Yeehaw. Any questions on example 2, 3? Kind of like this stuff? You should. Okay, now it gets a little harder. A little more complicated. A little. First of all, when you see a negative side out in front, leave it out in front. That's the best thing I can tell you for a lot of questions coming up in high school. Now, we multiply exponents. So we got nacho cheese to the 10th. And then we have this negative, but this is a negative 1. And if we put it to the 5th, we have to use our brain. What's negative 1 squared, everyone? Positive or negative? Positive. What's negative 1 cubed, everyone? So you have a negative times a negative times a negative. What does that equal? Negative 1. What's negative 1 to the 49th, everyone? What if you have 49 negatives? Everyone? Positive or negative? Negative. And what happens if you have 2020 negatives? Write it down. Yeah. So even exponent gives you an even amount of negative signs that cancel, because two negative signs cancel to make it positive. And an odd amount of negative signs, there's always going to be one left over. That makes it negative. Okay, so in this case, you have a negative 1 to the 5th. Is that equal 1 or negative 1? That equals negative 1. But you already have a negative in front of it, so you have a negative nacho cheese to the 10th, which equals, what's the answer? No, we try it, not n to the 10th. It's nacho cheese to the 10th. Nacho cheese to the 10th. Not that. Did I say crappy? I don't know if I can say that. Not that crappy processed junk. Cheddar. Nacho. Oh. Yep. Okay. Next. Before I just sit here for 5 minutes and dream about nacho cheese. What I would do is, before, I would simplify the bracket first. That would be my advice to you. You're going to have smaller numbers, and some of the questions are just way easier when you do it. So I would multiply these first. 12x to the 6th y cubed divided by 6. So you can see now why I'm doing that. Because now, sorry, I'm running out of room. Now I can just divide and subtract exponents. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. Subtract exponents, and y cubed just stays in the numerator. Okay, so I'd rather deal with that than start applying the 4 times this, 4 times that. That just no. Don't do it. Don't do it. And you won't have to have an aspirin. Okay, finish it off. That's 2xy cubed all to the 4th. 10, 9, 8, 7, can't remember, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody gets that part right. What's the number part, everyone? Good. 16, which is 2 to the 4th. That's the hard part. I hope you do those. Okay, so you know what? Let me do one more. And it's going to be the same thing we kind of just did. Let's do C for number. Oh, I haven't done C over here. It looks like I did. Never mind. Let's do the next question, C. Can I erase that? Let's put that down. Thank you. Edit, clear page. So now this one. Well, this one, you can do the blue part first, and then the green part. For 16, just has to stay there for now. Okay, 16 in front of the bracket. Much like there's a negative out in front, just leave it out in front. If there's a 16 out front, leave it out in front. Now we multiply exponents for the blue part. So x to the 6th, y to the 10th. And then for the green part, we multiply exponents and don't multiply numbers. 2 cubed is Frosty. Now you can finish that off. I think you're probably more entertained with these ones than the other ones. Good show. Are you entertained? But I haven't seen it for a while. I should watch it. Gladiator. 16 divided by 8 is 2. The x to the 6th cancel. And who knows, all of that turned into that. So cool. Give me an M. M. Give me an half. Half. Okay, let's do one more. And again, I just ask you to simplify this first. Is it 2 or 5 here? When you simplify that part. 2 or 5, they both look right. You subtract exponents or divide exponents. 2 to the 5th, and then you multiply exponents. If you can see, if you went like that, you're going to just have bigger numbers, and it's not worth it. So now I want you to do the rest of 5, please. Simplest form. So it doesn't say evaluate, thank goodness. So you don't need to give me what 2 to the 15th equals. If it said evaluate, you'd have to punch out in your calculator. 2 exponent 1/5. Podcast people, pause. All right, record. Did everybody get this far right? Is it positive or negative? What's this -1 here? -1 to the 4th. Well, if you punch out in your calculator, you're going to get it wrong. Yeah, good job. You have to put it around brackets if you're going to punch in your calculator. Hopefully you just know -1 times itself 4 times gives you 4 negative signs, and 2 negative signs are positive, 2 negative signs multiplied together are positive. So it's positive. Put a 1 there if you want to. Don't have to. This one, do the red part first. So this is -4 cubed, which is -64, x to the 6th, y to the 9th, times 8xy to the 8th. Relax, you don't have to do anything with that. Just bring it down, and now multiply. You get -480 plus 32, is it -512? X to the 7th, y to the 17th. Anybody get that? Oh, I was a little nervous. Good. I mean, I knew it all along, because that's how I roll. This one, keep it in brackets. Don't worry about the numerator, worry about the denominator, and add them, and then subtract them. Keep the brackets, even though it would still be right if it didn't have brackets. Just good idea to keep brackets, bases and brackets when they're brackets. Okay. Let's do these two, which is what you kind of just did on the last one. Keep the base and subtract exponents. Not done. It feels like it's done. You could easily leave that answer like that, but it says simplest form. And it even says without brackets. I tell you, don't put brackets in your answer. So what do you have to do? Well, the x to the 6th is just x to the 6th, but this is again -1. And what's -1 to the 6th, everybody? The positive or negative? Yep. So leave it, or you can put a 1 there if it helps you study for the midterm exam. This one is different. They have the exact same base, so you can subtract exponents. This one does not have the exact same base. The 4 is inside the brackets, which means the 4 does not apply to the negative. So don't put -a all squared here. Okay, because they're a little different. Tricky to see it, but they're a little different. So we just have to simplify these kind of one by one. And if you have a -1 to the 6th there, you have a positive, so a to the 6th divided by, and there's nothing you can do here, divided by -a to the 4th. Which is just 1 divided by -1, which is -1. and subtract exponents. That one's easy to get fooled. So clean your glasses. Get a little wiper thing. You can buy wipers. And notice that these are not the same basis. So you're going to have to just simplify each of them separately. Dun dun dun. Alright, you got 5 min to work on homework. Page 24, 25, it's just one page, but a half page each. And then we'll do some math karate. Yeah! Pause. Too bad. Doggone it. Sorry you missed math karate. Yeah! Hey, what are you guys standing up for? Sit down. I'm supposed to stand up during class. You want me to call the principal right now? I'll do it. Okay, so that's what it means. It means negative exponent means 1 over. Yeah! That was the worst one I've ever done. Yeah! There, that was better. So, 10 to the negative 2 does not equal negative 20, does not equal negative 100. It needs 1 over 10 to the positive 2, which is 1 over 100. Fill in the rest, please. Negative exponent means 1 over the positive exponent. What does 10 to the negative third mean? It means 1 over 10 to the positive third. Or cubed, I should say, which is 1/1000th. Fill in the 3's and the 8's, please. Do I have my black belt on? No, I don't. Dang it. That's what I thought about it. I brought my black wedding belt. $150 for a belt. I almost didn't get married. Like, are you kidding me? I saw a laugh. She's trying not to laugh. She's not. Okay, good. I got 1 laugh this year. That's good enough. And yep, and that's how it goes. 3 to the negative first is 1 over 3 to the positive first, which is just 1/3. 3 to the negative second is 1 over 3 to the positive second, which is 1 over 9. This is 1 over 3 cubed, which is 1 over 27. Not much you can do here. Is just 1 over a squared, and 1 over a cubed is what a to the negative third means. Math karate will help you. Just don't stand up and go, yeah! While we're writing the test. Frowned upon. But you can think it, you can visualize it. Go ahead and do these 3, please. Podcast people, get your exercise like we just did. Water. Right, pretty quick. Just don't put -6 or -9 there. Those are the common mistakes, I guess. But 1 over 2 to the positive 1, 1 over 3 to the positive 2. I would write this step if I were you, just so you don't get, it's easier to put 9 there if you see 3 squared. 1 over 4 cubed. What's 4 times 4 times 4? 64. Okay, go ahead and do this one. Usually I do A. You do A. What are you flipping do? Add exponents. Bam. Good job. B. Let's do that together. Add exponents. Good job. C. Hoping to get some hands up here. Those are not full mark answers. Those are 50% answers. Read the question, please. First of all, it says positive exponents. Secondly, of all, it says evaluate. So if it says evaluate, I do have to put 4 squared equals 16. If it says positive exponents, you're doing math karate. 1 over the positive exponent, which is 1 over 27. That's 2 steps you missed if you just put 3 to the negative third. So please read the question carefully. And if you're not sure, just go full steps. Because I'm not going to take marks off if you did too much. If you're not sure, just do it all. C is an interesting one, and we could do a shortcut, but you should have been shown the shortcut in grade 7 and 8. When you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal type thing. I'm not going to show that to you. We're going to go right to that shortcut. And it's a good one. When you have a negative exponent in the denom, you can just move it to the numerator to make it positive. Okay, so star this one. This is just equal to 2 to the 5th. Again, it has to do with multiplying by the reciprocal. And then that's it. You don't have any negative exponents. You could also look at it this way for a negative exponent in the numerator. You could just bring it to the denominator and make it positive. That's what we've been doing. Math karate. 1 over the positive exponent. Hi-ya. D, this is how I would do it. This is just like 6 to the 4th divided by 6 cubed. You subtract exponents, top, subtract bottom exponent. Well, that's the same thing here. Top exponent, subtract. So this is 4 subtract 3, top subtract bottom. This is top, it's a negative. Subtract, and this is a bottom, it's negative. That subtract is not part of the negative sign. And you get 6 to the negative second. Okay, finish it off. Yes, sir. Pardon me? No. Because you did 7. You have to do negative something. You're close. You did the hard part. It's the top exponent, subtract the bottom exponent. So it'd be negative 7 plus 5. You just missed that first negative. Which equals 1 over 6 squared, which is 1 over 36. Now the other way you could do this, and it's mathematically correct, you can either write it down, you might like it better. You can move this negative to the bottom and this negative to the top and make them both positive if you want to. So you can make this 6 to the 5th over 6 to the 7th. It means to get rid of all your negative signs there, and then you have an easier path to get 6 to the negative second. I don't care how you do it, as long as it's mathematically sound. You have a choice. So this is probably what you learned in, I don't know, grade 8-9, with the negatives and the integer rules. But you should know why that shortcut exists. Is because you're dividing by a fraction, and when you divide by a fraction, that means multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction. Okay, so your turn to do E and 2, and I'm going to circle them in green and then clear this page right away. So do this one and this one, please. Get full marks. Read the question carefully. Party. Any questions? We're good? Don't stare at me. I don't know if you're happy or sad, but I'll pretend you're happy. It's your masks. Say happiness and joy, joy. Don't leave that, right? Because now you have to go 1 over 2 to the positive. So anytime it says positive exponent, you can't have a negative exponent. That makes sense. 1 over 8. And then this one, just bring that up. So that equals 3 times 5 to the positive 2, which is 3 times 25, which equals 75. Check. I would say left-hand side equals right-hand side. That's going to start getting you into your proof, so maybe write that down. Left-hand side equals right-hand side. It's kind of proving that equals that. But if you're to do that, you should have had equals 75 all the way down. 75 equals 75 is what my professional math brain is telling me. And the homework follows for these math karates. And now we're going to rational exponents. So we're going to move on. So page 27 on your handouts. If you have your textbook, get it out. Oops, don't put your textbook on your page. Don't know what happened there. Uh-oh. Mayday, mayday. There we go. Nope. That's one section too far. So we're on rational exponents now, my friends. Almost done the unit. We'll be done tomorrow. We're going to review assignment tomorrow, and you have a test on Thursday. So math help is pretty important today because it's your last math help. Have lunch, short lunch. I got to leave at 12, before 12, for supervision. Anyways, I don't really need to write this again. It's right there. So this is the formula for 1 over n. And the motivational set is this. Everyone write that down. What do you think 49 to the exponent of 1/2 equals? If you had to guess something in 2 seconds. Yep. Good try. like that guess the most. Any other number comes when you see that number? Yep.
Would you multiply it by like whatever half the base is?
Good try. Maybe. What do you mean? So what numbers have base as you're talking?
Well, it would be 24.5 that you multiply that.
Good try. Again, I love that answer. What do you think when you see 49? What number are you associating with? Everyone? 7. Yep. That's actually equal to the same thing as the square root of 49. So now we know anytime we see a 1/2 exponent, it's square root. What do you think 1/3 exponent means? Cubic root. 1/4 exponent. 4th root. Okay, it's just more math fun. And this goes on forever and ever and ever in your math fun book. So I can't wait to hear. Well, you're not going to hear it, but I'm excited that you're going to write in your math diary tonight. Okay, nth root. So anyways, this is what it means. So write this down. 1x to the 1 over n, which is a fraction. It means the nth root of x. So it's 1 over 6, it's 6th root. This is something you're going to see in university a lot, and it's confusing. So when your professor gives you that, just put a number in for n, and it's a lot less confusing. So let's put 3 there. So n is 3. Then I put a 3 there. Okay, that makes a lot more sense than the x's and the n's. But you're going to see a lot of x's and n's if you're going to take a lot of university math classes. And sometimes professors are researchers and don't do a great job of explaining it. Some professors do a great job of explaining it. But you need to know, just put in a number, and then it'll be clarified. So that means the denominator is the index. Denom equals index. Denom of your rational exponent always means the index. Okay, so if you have 5 in the denominator, it's 5th root. You always look at the denominator for what root it is. So if I write this down, you don't guess whether it's 4th root or 5th root, you just know it's 5th root, because that's the denominator. Okay, and we'll have more than we'll have a numerator that's bigger than 1. But right now it's 1, so this is what we need to know and what the textbook says. And page 227 says what are these? I'm assuming not everyone has it, so write these down. Go ahead and rewrite these as a radical. 36 to the 1/3, 48 to the 1/2, and negative 30 to the 1/5. So write down the questions and the answers, please. And then rewrite it as a radical. That's what the question says. Rewrite these as a radical. You don't have to punch them in your calculator, just rewrite as a radical. That's 5A, B, C in your textbook. Make sure you're on the right track. 36 to the 1/3 is the cubic root of 36, and nothing else to do. 5 seconds to do B and C. 5, 4, 3, 2 and a 1. Anything to the 1/2 means square root. Yay. Square root of 48, and you know what to do with that. But you don't have to on this one. It just says rewrite it. You would simplify it. And this one is the 5th root, and everything in the bracket goes under the radical sign. So don't put the negative in front. If the negative was not in bracket, then you would put the negative in front. You can have a negative root, you just can't have a negative square root. You can have negative cubic roots and negative fifth roots and negative odd indexes. But you can't have a negative square root or fourth root. That's imaginary. Okay, I want to just talk about example 1. If you have your book, you have your book. Example 1 does the exact same thing, except for it says 27 to the 1/3, which is the cubic root of 27, but then you can actually evaluate the cubic root of 27 as 3. And if you look at the other ones, you can evaluate the square root of decimal 49. So you do the same thing here, you rewrite it, and then you square root it or cube root it and give me an answer, preferably without your calculator. So let's do these. This is the CYU. It's called Check Your Understanding questions. This is on page 224. Don't turn to page 224, please, because it has the answers. I don't want you to look at the answers. So just shut your book. I said book, and I'll give you these. I'll give you the questions, and you can do them. 1,000 to the 1/3. So this one says not just rewrite, but rewrite and evaluate. Evaluate means find the value of. So everyone do these, please. You should start recognizing when I write down exponent of 1/3, that means cubic root. If you have a fraction with the exponent of 1/2, you just square root the top and square root the bottom. That's your hint for D. That is a negative sign, not a dot. So rewrite as a radical and give me the answer. Don't just give me the answer. If it says rewrite as a radical, that's part of your mark. That's half your marks. Okay, so this is the cubic root of 1,000. Sorry, I should ask you what that meant. What's the answer, everyone? 10 or positive negative 10? It is 10. Cubic roots are either positive or negative. So don't put positive, negative. What root is B, everyone? Square root is 1/2. I remember we saw earlier that square roots have the index of 2. We just don't see it. It's just imaginary 2 there. But we asked the question, what number multiplied by itself 2 times? And is that decimal 5 or decimal 0.5? Good. 1 decimal times 1 decimal gives you 2 decimals. This is a cubic root, and -8 goes in the radicand, and then what number times itself 3 times equals -8? -2. And this is what root, everyone? 4th root of the top divided by the 4th root of the bottom. What's the answer there? 2/3. Right. You can, that's even better. You don't have to because it's a decimal. But if it's a square root of 100, you do need to put positive negative 10 because nothing's with it. big numbers and decimals preferred, but I'm okay if you don't. Okay, let's move on to page 225 now. So I think I got a back track on this page. Oh, front track. Forward track. So now we're here. No, we're not. Close to that. I wish this same page was just the same page. Okay, so now we're doing this heading, okay? So I already talked to you about this right here. You have to know what root that is. If that's fourth root or fifth root. Always look at the denominator for the root. Root equals denom. And then we have to know what to do with this 4. And what you do with the 4 is you just put it outside of the brackets. Okay, so if we go to example 2 in the textbook, it says 40 to the 2/3. You can rewrite that as cubic root of 40 all squared. If you don't have your book. Or another way, but we don't usually use that way. So let's see if you guys can rewrite 26 to the 2/3 as a root, please. That's this one here. 26 to the 2/3. Either write that as a square root or the cubic root. So cool. Okay, so you would write this as the cubic root of 26 all squared, usually, because that's going to give you smaller numbers to deal with. Why deal with 512 when you can deal with 36? But you could, if for some reason this was a multiple choice, this is the same thing. I don't know why you'd want to square 26, but you could square root 26 and then take the cubic root, and that's the exact same thing. So there's two different ways, so you guys can actually add this to this. But 99% of the time we're going to use that one. Okay, so let's talk about these three. NABD. This is on page 227. So go ahead and rewrite this. Go ahead and write this. Rewrite this and this. Don't ever get this one. Go ahead and do that. I think just come get it, Nathan. Cleaning that again there. I copied and scanned it. It didn't go very dark. Nathan, MD. We have Alex, Ashley, Ashlyn, sorry. Jordan, here. Allie, Jess. This. Hudson. Selma. Nixon. Miss. Aim. Sarah. Super Sarah. Who's going? You're welcome. Trevor and Lucas. Your daddy got his basketball dropped in. Ethan. And Trent. You guys get the key blades and write all over them. Olivia, we'll correct them tomorrow. Daryl, if you hear from math help, just keep them handy. You're welcome, Maria. Ted. And Kurt. Okay, so we gotta quickly track these in 2 minutes, so please pay attention. Okay guys, please pay attention. This is a cubic root of 48. That's the one you probably know. This one is the cubic root we already talked about. The negative goes inside. And this one, what's another way of writing decimal 7.5 as an exponent? Somebody? What fraction? Hopefully you know it. What fraction is decimal 7.5? 3/4. If you don't know it, press decimal 7.5 in your calculator. Do it anyway if you know it. Decimal 7.5 math, and then enter. And so that's the 4th root of 0.75 all cubed. We got 3 more questions. That is it. 7 C, E, F, same page. And we're going to do these together. 8 to the 2/3. Okay, you guys write this down, please. I know you got your quests. Don't worry about your quests. Write these down, because this is part of your homework, so you need to know how to do this. Bless you. This is the cubic root of 8. This is going to be your test question. I'm going to give you something that you can give me the answer to. What's a cubic root of 8 equal? 2, and then 2 squared equals 4. Don't put positive negative. E is 8 to the 4/3. What's that equal? Cubic root of 8 all to the 4th, which is 2 to the 4th, which equals 16. Your turn. Do 8 to the 5/3 for me, please. In 1 second. 8 to the 5/3. Your homework is going to be having a question like that. You might think, oh, I have to take the cubic root of 8. No, not necessarily, because if you have 64, you can take the square root and the cubic root. So don't just think that. You have to cube root the denom. Cubic root of 8 is 2. 2 to the 5th is a lot of fingers and toes. And people. 32. Homework. Page 34. Nope. Page 24. 25. 26. 27. Some of those are half pages, so you have 2.5 pages of homework. And you need to get it done because our test is right away. Math help right now. God bless and awesome day. Ha ha ha.